All right, y'all. What's good? What's good? What's good? So, if I'm Javon. I'm 29 years old now, as of September 30th, 2025, and I have just wanted to share more about my story with money. I feel like a lot of different people that I follow, they already have a lot of money and they're expanding, but I don't feel like anybody really knows what it's like to still be in the journey and not talk about being like they're further along in the journey and they don't really speak to the person that they're still building. So a little bit about me. I have about 37K invested into the market between crypto and stocks. That's really it. ETFs. I have about 37,000 invested today. Now that may sound like a lot, but it's not. It's not at all. And it also took me about 6 or 7 years to even get here. And I just look back that, if I would have been on this when I was 18, when I was 19, I'd be so much further along, but I've learned it now and, I'm starting to build. I also have about 7,000 in savings. This also took me about 6 or 7 years to get there. And this is another habit that I wish that I would have built when I was younger because it just would have been much more helpful. It's just, I really wish there was a lot more that I did when I was younger, but today is just, I want to share the story. So to get started, I got my notes right here on my computer, but so I wanted to talk about 3 money mistakes that really cost me a lot of money. And the first one was moving out too early. When I was younger, I wanted my independence. I wanted to live by myself or I wanted to live with my friends. And I ended up moving out of my mom's because I didn't want her to tell me to stop smoking weed. And we were getting into it a lot. And it was just like, I really didn't want to continue to argue with her and do those different things. And I ended up leaving home early at not a young age. I left home at 17, 18. Prior to that, my dad, before I went to college at 17, my dad told me once I go to college, I can't come back. So I already kind of felt alone, but then, I came back from college, my mom let me stay with her, and then so on and so forth, give it a year or two, and she was kicking me out too. Well, she told me I had to go if I wanted to keep smoking weed. So yeah, I was like, peace, I'm gone. And if I'm being honest, stupid idea, horrible idea. One, because I only had about $1,500 saved when I left. I went and stayed with a friend, and me and my friend got an apartment together, and I ended up paying all the rent. I ended up paying all the bills, and that was my first experience of bills are serious. This is a real thing. That sucked. So then I ended up leaving that apartment, getting my own apartment, and it was even harder because I'd had no financial discipline at all. I thought I could still eat out. I thought I could still spend money the way I was spending money. And that wasn't the case. It was when that rent came, that rent hurt. When that rent hit. Ooh, wee. And I thought because I was making $20 an hour, $30 an hour, I had it all figured out. And I was just going to ball out and be good. And that wasn't the case because I had no financial discipline. And that ended up costing me about, in total, it was probably like a $10,000 lesson, maybe even more. I had to sit down and really do the math, but it was 10K or more, 10K plus lesson. So not something I recommend. Number two was getting and financing a car that without any financial discipline, without any knowledge of credit, all those different things. Because the first car I financed it through Drive Time. It was a Ford Focus. I don't remember the year, but the car, first of all, was not a good car because sometimes I would come outside and it wouldn't start. And I called Drive Time like, hey, this doesn't start. And they're like, yeah, this is the PCM motor. There's something wrong with it. But that happens sometimes. So I said, I'm not going to be able to drive my car because it doesn't start sometimes. That doesn't make any sense. But again, I had no financial discipline, no knowledge of credit, and no knowledge of vehicles. So I ended up, not really, I was able to pay for the car, but I wasn't able to, I was stretched very, very thin to a point to where I wasn't even able to continue paying it. And it was literally a choice between voluntary repossession or repossession. So I chose voluntary repossession. Luckily I was young, so that's gone now. But yeah, that was another $10,000 lesson for sure, because I had paid about $10,000 into that car until, that worked. And my third lesson, and I think this was the most detrimental, was using debt to keep myself afloat. Excuse me, let me mute my phone. The third thing was using debt to keep myself afloat. So using debt is never a good idea to pay bills. It's not a good idea. I had my own apartment again, and I had a credit card that had about a $7,000 limit. My rent was about, I would say $1,200-$1,300 a month. So at that age, I was like, well, they let me pay rent on my credit card. So I have about 7 months of rent that I can pay with my credit card until further notice. And it let me do that. And then I said, oh, well, I do need a new camera lens. That was $1,500. So I said, I'll just use my credit card. And I bought that. And long story short, I'm now actively in about $30,000 in debt. I've paid down a lot of it. Like my car will be paid off at the end of this month. But yeah, I have 2 collection accounts, 2 accounts in a collection, and student loans. So paying those things down, using debt to keep myself afloat. Even when my student loans came out, I was getting refund checks for like $2,000 or $3,000 a month from when I was in school. If I would have just took half of that and paid back my loans, I wouldn't have them today. Or if I took half of that and invested it, I'd have so much money. But I didn't know anything about it. And it's just, it makes me sad to think about it sometimes, because I just wish I was much better with money. I wish I was taught better when I was younger. But that's what I'm making this for now, because I just wish that, I just want to talk about the things that I wish that people did for me when I was younger, but also just kind of talk about the journey from a perspective of someone who's building something, not just, I've already have $100 million, I already have $1 million, I already have money. It's like, I don't have a lot of money at all, but I am making money and I'm paying down debt and I'm getting stuff together. So I wanted to do this to help those people. Now, when did investing really hit me? I knew investing was important because I had a financial situation where I had stayed in California too long. I had rent due, I had different bills due, and I had made $0 while I was in California, expecting to make thousands of dollars while I was in California. So one thing is, don't do things without knowing how much money you're going to make in the end. Because you still want to, like, I get doing things and like trying new things and exposure, and I'm not going to go into detail about it because it's with a family member, so we'll leave that alone. But yeah, oh man, even when I think about it, it still frustrates me a little bit. But I knew I was gonna need to invest. I knew I was going to need to learn how to invest when that situation came, and I was able to sell all my investments and pay everything flat. I was all good, no worries. Yeah, I lost all my investments. It wasn't a good idea to sell them because they'd be worth significantly more than they were then, because this is pre-2020. And if you guys know anything about the stock market, yeah, I had a few shares of Apple. I had a few shares of Amazon. I had a few shares of even NVIDIA. NVIDIA would have paid everything by now. But yeah, I just didn't know. But fortunately, I was able to invest, and those investments were able to save me from that situation. So I just knew it was going to be something important when that came up. Yeah. I'm just reading my notes here, but I guess what I can say is I really learned the value of investing. I learned that when you acquire assets, you have investments. It's not just something that's going to save you. It's something that you can pass on to the youth. It's something you can lean on when you're older. It's something that your kids can lean on. It's something your family can lean on. It's bigger than you when it comes to investing. And I'm learning that now, but when I was younger and even up to now was just like, even up to these recent points was just like, these investments are going to make me money while I'm sleeping, while I'm growing, while I'm focusing on trying to increase my amount of income. These things are going to grow on the side while I continue to grow myself, which I just wonder, like, how many things am I going to be able to do when I'm significantly older that the people who are older than me now will never get to experience. Like, my stocks, my investments, they are my retirement plan. We're in an era where, Social Security is going to be gone when I'm 60. We're not going to have it. They're already trying to get it to go away now. Like, we're losing SNAP benefits, we're losing this different things. Having assets is the really only way that is going to save anyone. And I really appreciate just the experience that I've had, because I've gone from $0 invested to now, when I added everything up, to $37,000. And it may have took a while, but if I stay on this track, it's only going to get better. It's only going to do more, and it's only going to continue to grow. And I want you to join me on this journey to explain what it is I'm doing, who I'm doing this with, what I'm investing in, why I'm investing in it, who I follow for advice, all those different things. I want to talk about them all, because maybe it'll help you. Maybe it'll help you. Maybe it'll help someone you know. But I want to talk from a person who doesn't have millions of dollars already. I want to talk from a person who doesn't have it all figured out. I'm open to advice. I'm open to more things. And I just want to talk about those different things. So thank you for joining me for my very first episode. So, yeah.